You know what, chat? I think we're good to go. I think that I've been sitting here for close to an hour already, being like, damn, why did I say I would start at 5 when I'm ready at 4? But I guess it's probably better I gave myself the extra time. Let's just step right into my office, shall we? Hello, and hello again, everyone. And, it's a little late now, but a very happy new year to each and every one of you. I hope you had a lovely holidays. I know I did. I just turned on the music on my end here. It's a little loud for me. Just a second here. There. I have enough trouble thinking as it is, let alone if I'm getting drowned out by my music. Okay. So, where were we? We only just started, too. Yeah, it's been a lovely little holidays for me. Didn't get up to anything too crazy, just enjoyed little Christmas, little New Year's. And, well, I'm back at it now. I'm decided, hey, you know what? New year, old me. And that's fine, I think. That's fine. You know what? I think a big problem with New Year's is that, well, people act like you have to be a new you. Cut from new cloth, pouring new wine into new wine skins, as it were. And I'm not sure that that's actually practical for the, day-to-day life we find ourselves in. But before we get into all that funny stuff, let's see, where did I put it? Where did I put it here? Was it in here? Was it in here? I think it was in here. No, a little too early there. We're not gonna get there just yet. We're gonna put that away for now. Here it is. There. I want to talk about last year a bit. Namely, all that we got up to last year. So this here is a graph, right? As you can see. A graph of how many hours I streamed specifically. And one thing you'll notice is that it is extremely, well, if anything, I'd say it's extremely consistent that usually it's 0 hours. Almost no hours of streaming. Last year, 2024, back in November, we got through Tohovember, which involved me streaming nearly every single day. Which, while it was doable, was certainly not the most sustainable long term. I had to put a lot of other stuff on hold entirely. So, part of the issue is that my employment, you know, supernatural investigator and all, kind of necessitates that I go on mission for months at a time. Sometimes, right? Which, while it's good for bringing home the bacon, as it were, isn't very good for building up a consistent streaming schedule. So, if I were to say that I had a big goal for 2025, it'd be to keep this volume of work, but spread it out a bit more evenly over the months. As much as my personal schedule will allow, of course. When I'm away from home, I simply can't stream. There's no two ways about it, I'm afraid. But oh, hello, Robert. Yeah, those supernatural investigations seem taxing. Well, that's the thing. Sometimes it might only be a week or two. Sometimes I might be away from home for 2, 3... I think the longest time I've ever had to be away from home in one sitting was 8 months. Have I thought about desk work? Frequently. The issue is, well, it's, they always ask you, do you have any other, experience in this field, right? And what am I gonna tell them? Yeah, I spent the last, how many years of my life chasing after ghosts and ghoulies in the backwoods. Well, you know, not exactly conducive to Larry's accounting firm. Maybe someday, though, maybe someday. I'm still young for an old man, you know? You never know, it could happen. Spent the last 5 years investigating. Can you explain this 5-year period unemployed? Oh no, I wasn't unemployed, I was hunting Dracula. Uh-huh. Right. Okay. Well, thank you. We've heard all we need to hear. But it is what it is. It is what it is. So with that in mind, I would like to spend... I think part of the issue is, do I have a minimum length of time that I need to investigate, be away from home? That's the thing. My audio is a bit echoey. Yeah, there's an issue with my current setup. It's, kind of in the middle of things. So I'll try and, well, I can fix it a little bit just by changing how I'm speaking. I was leaning away, I was not talking into the mic, and there probably was a fair bit of echo in there. This probably will only do so much, but, we're actually gonna get into this later in the stream. There's, a few things I need to work on, namely my current setup's audio quality. I shifted things around not too long ago, and it's definitely a more convenient setup for me, but it's a downgrade for my audio, which, considering that I'm a hobbyist voice actor, isn't great. So I'm gonna fix that. I know how to fix it, I know what I'll be doing to fix it, but we're gonna get into that later in the stream. That's a good thing to bring up though, thank you. Where was I? Already. A towel under the mic might at least cast reflection from the desk. You know what? I will... When we get to our first break, I might see about setting that up. But we'll get to that later. Where the heck was I? Oh, is there a minimum length of time I need to investigate? Yeah. So like I said, it could be anywhere from a week, a couple nights, to months on end. I really don't know until it happens. So, the leaning closer and speaking into it helped a lot. Yeah, that's just how it goes. It's a directional mic, so it's, also a bit of a bad habit on my part. I like to be able to look at both my screens at once, which involves me sitting back. And, one of the things I'll be doing is changing how my mic is actually set up on my desk, so that I can actually look at it while doing other things. It's a whole lot of... Oh, not from missions, but in total... I'd say that, in general, I put in... Well, it could depend on the time of year, actually. Anywhere from 20 to 60 hours a week, which, again, is totally normal. Which is part of why I don't really have much of an excuse. A lot of those dead weeks, in there, where I was around, but not streaming, I was probably just playing games off stream or doing other things in my personal life, which is fair. But I think that I could probably get a more even balance, because you'll see there, it's, do they require X years of investigating people sign up? Oh, you just sort of fall into the job, I'd say, you know? You don't really sign up for it. You either make it or you don't. But if you aren't willing to commit so many years of your life, you might not get it. We'll say that. But for sure, it's, you'll see here, I go for, well, this last year is kind of... I was away from home a lot this year, in particular, so that doesn't help things. But I didn't... Aside from November, where it was basically every single day, because I made personal sacrifices in order to make that happen, it really wasn't as much as I felt like it was. It felt like I was streaming more this year. But honestly, I think it might have been less overall. And that's no good. That's no good. So one thing I want to do this year is, whenever possible, let's get at least one stream a week here. I shouldn't be seeing these, like, little gaps in between them. That's fine. You know, that's fine. I've got a career. I'm not able to devote my life to streaming. A career, a life, all that. But, if I'm being honest, there's a lot of things I could have been doing on stream that I was doing off stream. Not that I'm obligated to stream, but I say that I wanna get better at streaming, and then I'm not doing it. It's like saying you want to get better at running, and then never getting off the couch. Or, you know, learn a language, but never cracking open a book, right? No good. No good at all. Still, that's besides the point. So, I think last year, the only thing I had close to a resolution or a goal, because I was always the kind of guy who's very skeptical, right? Ironic considering my position, but very skeptical of, well, most everything. Cynical, even. Cynical might be the better word here. I think the only resolution I had was, jokingly, mind you, learned Japanese well enough to play Toho Gensou Mahjong, which I did try the demo of, and was thoroughly unimpressed. A little bit of an aside here, but that Toho Mahjong game, the only thing it has going for it is all the unique little game modes and play styles that all the different characters allow for. Could I lower the BGM a bit? Sure, certainly, certainly. Hello, Calavera_VT. Damn, he hates Mahjong. True. Mahjong is a blight upon the human race. Does nothing good for the human soul. It is poison, which is why I'm going to be playing it every Monday from now on. That's another thing I'll be getting into, but yeah, so I played some Toho Gensou Mahjong, and was thoroughly unimpressed. Yes, the playstyles are very unique and quite interesting. However, when you get into the actual game itself, the visuals were very unimpressive considering the price tag. I have to assume that most of the price tag went to paying for the artists. Again, many of the artists were very popular, very prolific Toho fan artists, and artists in general, really. But, I don't know what to say. I was very, disappointed by the purchase. So that was the first time I've ever refunded a game on Steam, Toho Gensou Mahjong. No shit on the developers, just... I was like, why would I play this? Like, yeah, sure, there's the gimmicks, but the overall feel of the game, the polish of the game itself, was a lot lower than Mahjong Soul, which is free. So, what can I say? You know? I can get a better experience for free. It's kind of a hard sell. Kind of a hard sell. Where was I? Yeah. So I think over this next year, my big goal would be, let's get more consistent. Maybe not stream more, but what if I were to take all that I did over the year and do it like 1-2 streams a week, aside from when I'm away from home? I think that'd be pretty fair, pretty doable. But is the Toho Mahjong game gacha? No, it is not gachapon. You pay for it and you just get everything, which I guess is a fair point. But that being said, I'd rather the game itself play better than, you got a winner? Oh, you know what? If you want to pay the $60 American for Toho Gensou Mahjong, you go right ahead, my friend. But I will stick to good old Mahjong Soul. Because I don't spend any money on that game anyway. So, $0 is still $0. It's all good. It's all good. Yeah, $60, that's what I'm saying. For a game that plays not quite as well as you'd think for $60, yeah. Alright. Yeah, so if I were to say that I have any big goals this year, that'd be one of them. Is just 1 or 2 streams a week. I think I can still work on what I'd like to work on and have time for family, personal life, outside of work. If it's just 1 or 2 a week. When I look at the schedules I do make, I think the reason I thought I was doing more, as silly as this sounds, is because I'd make schedules. Let's just pull back into the office here real quick. I'd make schedules where it's like, okay, I'm gonna do 5 streams a week this week. And outside those schedules, not seeing, it's like, okay, yeah, and I'm also gonna do this and that before work, and then after work, then I'm gonna get it home. Then I'm gonna stream for 4 hours, 5 days a week. And before you know it, I've essentially given myself 3 full-time jobs every week. And that's not very wise of me. I should know better. I'm a old man at this point, you know. I know what I'm capable of and what I'm not capable of. There's no need to let pride and arrogance set myself up for unreasonable expectations, right? There's one thing to be ambitious with your goals. It's another thing to say, oh, I'm gonna go from sitting on the couch to being Usain Bolt, right? In 4 weeks. You know, nice idea, probably not happening. So, yeah. But that's 2024, really. There were some things that I was... Maybe if you hit the... You know, yes, maybe if I just went to the gym for 8 hours a day, I could be faster than Usain Bolt in 4 weeks. You know what? That's a fair point, fellas. It's a fair point. I didn't think of it like that. Surely, all I need is to just keep going. Just work. If I just put in more and more effort. No. We're gonna get into that. You guys are getting ahead of me there. More for getting the energy. Oh, I do. It's more, I want to get into this, but I'm also branching ahead into my little PowerPoint. I've got it all set up here. I'm trying not to get ahead of myself here. Oh well. You know what? The heck with it. Since we're broaching this subject anyways, let's just jump right into it. Where'd I put that? Here we are. So, the problem with New Year's resolutions, or crabs in the bucket. This is definitely not a free template included with LibreOffice software. Nope, it was definitely all me. I totally did not just use the free stuff. I would never do that. I'm not that lazy. I'm not some lazy kind of guy who would just grab a template and roll with it. Never. So, it's that time of year again. Gym goers get annoyed by all the new people showing up and making the gyms busy. People signing up for courses and buying new gadgets and gizmos for their health that they'll never really use, trying to improve themselves in some way or another. It's really all too easy to get cynical about it. I know I certainly have. And I still do, if I'm being honest. But is this justified? Sure, it's understandable to doubt that someone can just suddenly change their whole life because the calendar year rolled over. It's an arbitrary distinction. But at the same time, assuming that people can't make changes in their life simply because it's the new year is equally arbitrary and totally unfounded. New Year's resolutions are infamously quick to break, to the point where people scoff and even belittle those who would still bother to try making them. But when I thought about it, this seems a little hypocritical to me. I don't think the problem is with the sentiment of wanting to change, or improve, or with the timing itself. I think the problem is with the execution. So, today I'd like to talk about how we can make New Year's resolutions that actually work. So, you can join me in scoffing at the doubters. We can laugh at those people who say, you can't do it. Of course, these principles will also work year-round on big goals and small goals alike. You can do this even if you're watching a stream VOD months later, because again, the one thing I will agree on is that, New Year's Day doesn't matter. I'm making you gonna go for a walk. Just leave the stream running so I get ad revenue. That's all I ask. An AFK view is still a view. We'll take it, brother. What? Okay, so I got ahead of myself here. Making assumptions. It's totally fair to see that all the failed New Year's resolutions. Completely true that making the year roll over doesn't actually do anything. It's exceedingly easy to talk the talk, but walking the walk is a lot harder. Take it from me. I can give a dozen examples of this from last year. This time I'm going to change everything type of posts. I could go through my Twitter right now and be like, yeah, here's where I said I'm going to go hard this week. I'm going to go hard this week. I'm going to go hard this week. But by the time I get home, I've already gone to the gym. I've already been at the office for hours and hours. I just want to unwind, eat dinner, and go to bed, right? I'm only human. That's how it is. I'm a lazy old man at the end of the day, right? For all ambition I do have, it can only take me so far. So setting up huge goals probably just going to cause me to, sit there with entire weeks of... Oop, wrong one. Entire weeks of no streaming happening, right? Not great. Not great. You think, oh, I missed the Monday, so I shouldn't bother with the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday either, right? It's terrible, terrible. Now maybe I'm just exceptionally weak, but maybe you can find that somewhat relatable. So, how can we do this a bit smarter? If there's not enough time in the day, something's gotta give. Exactly. Because that's the thing, right? There are things I want to do, and then there are things that have to get done, right? So, if you're setting too many big things for yourself, you're not going to get everything. We're going to get into that later on, but one of the big principles I'd like to drive home today is, yeah, you can have multiple goals you're working on. You don't have to dedicate your life to just one thing, but maybe pick one big goal and like 2 small goals, and let the rest happen as it does, right? So, is it bad timing? On the one hand, there's nothing magical about January 1st, not really, or this Sunday, or tomorrow, or even right now. None of that's gonna matter when you start, right? Conversely, there's nothing bad about any of those times. You're not going to fail just because it's January 1st. You're not going to fail just because you're starting it on your next Sunday, or tomorrow, or starting right now. It does not matter when you start, just that you start. Is it just weakness? No, you can't actually go from couch potato to being a successful ultramarathon runner through willpower alone. What comes to mind is David Goggins, that one, I think he's a US Navy SEAL. For charity, he decided to sign up for an ultramarathon runner. So, I'm not sure if he was a Navy SEAL or something else. Some high-speed, low-drag military fellow, right? Extremely physically fit. But going from that to running 80 kilometers just out of nowhere, well, he did it. He finished extremely slowly, and his organs didn't like that very much, to the point that blood was pouring out of holes that they aren't supposed to pour out of. Right? So, you know what, maybe if you're extremely, extremely dedicated, you might be able to go from being, a physically fit, high-tier soldier to running an ultramarathon without training. Well, that's the thing. He didn't go into the training, right? It was just willpower. And yes, he did it. But, you know what? I wouldn't say that he was weak. I'd say that it was probably not a very realistic goal. And in interviews, he's admitted, yeah, if you're gonna get into it, you should probably train appropriately, right? That's the thing. You can't just jump into stuff. Nor, for that matter, should you wait around for some dramatic life event to try and force yourself to change. For one thing, you might not get the change you want. You might not change in a good way. And it might not happen for ages, right? So, no, it's all in the execution. So, let's say that you've taken a sober, measured look at yourself over the past year, right? You're not measuring yourself against other people. You're measuring yourself against you, right? So that's another thing, too, is it would make no sense for me at all to compare my skills at drawing and art against, say, my buddy Calavera_VT, who is himself a rather prolific artist in my opinion, right? He has spent years and years drawing day after day. I have not. The top is kind of cut off. Oh, so it is. Thank you, OBS, for lovely fit to screen. Cool. Okay, whatever. It doesn't matter. I'm talking anyways. If you want, I can post the PowerPoint after the fact. I'm more or less saying what's on it as it goes. Don't worry about it. So maybe you look in the mirror. You're not happy with what you've seen, right? Or you compare yourself to your colleagues. You start to feel like you're not good enough. You're falling behind. Well, that's natural. That's totally okay. Don't feel like you're in the wrong for feeling like that, ever, right? That's part of the human condition to feel like that. But it's also not very helpful or useful to feel like that. So, You can feel that way. That's okay, that's normal, that's fine. But don't let that guide your actions going forward, because it's not going to get you where you want to go. So you have to measure your performance, your progress, you against you. It doesn't matter what your friends are doing. We'll get into that in a second, because it can actually be very helpful or harmful what your friends are doing. What matters is what you're doing and how you're doing against yourself, right? Here, I'll break into an anecdote. Right now, I am happily going into a broadcast and yapping for hours on end. In fact, over my past few streams, that's a problem I've been having, actually. I get too distracted yapping, just talking and talking and talking, that I forget to actually get back into the game I'm supposed to be playing, right? So that's pretty normal for a live streamer, right? When I started, though, I actually started to try and get over my anxiety. I had to give some talks, some public talks, for personal reasons, before I started live streaming, and it was hell, right? I'm up there sweating, stuttering, staring at my paper, just trying to get through it all. And now I actually have to go back and remind myself, oh, look at your notes, because you'll ramble off topic. It's now getting to the point where I lose focus because I'm too happy to just keep talking and talking. Now, that's something I need to work on. I'm still nowhere near perfect at it, right? I'd say the best talkers, the best yappers, can not only keep going, but they can keep on topic, they can keep it relevant, they can keep it focused, and actually useful things to say. I've still got a long way to go in that regard. But if I'm comparing myself to myself already, hey, you know what? I've got something I need to work on. But I've also got visual, progress that can be measured. Hey, I can talk for hours on end if I have to. It could be better, but I can do it now. Hey, that's already pretty good. So, you're taking a sober, measured look at yourself over the past year or past decade. It doesn't really matter. Past week even. You're not where you want to be. Maybe there's projects you aren't getting done. I'm guilty of that one. Maybe there's a bad habit you keep trying to kick, or a good habit you haven't quite managed to keep. Well, you're not the only one. The fact that you have so many people making and failing so many New Year's resolutions that it becomes a joke, well, that should tell you this feeling is pretty much universal. So, what can we actually do about it? Well, studies of people who made radical life changes and kept them found that more often than not, there was no major tragedy or event that triggered these personal transformations. That certainly did happen in many cases, right? You hear these amazing stories about someone who gets diagnosed with cancer and, they beat the cancer and their whole life is turned around. They have a new zeal for life. And I'm not gonna say that's not incredibly inspiring. It's not a miracle of a story, right? But you also don't need to wait for that crazy event, right? You don't need to have your Spider-Man Uncle Ben moment to start being a better person, right? Take more responsibility in your life. You don't actually need to have Uncle Ben get shot to do that. Canon events aside. Rather, the biggest factor, and this is what I was talking about before, is who you surround yourself with. If your friends are making similar changes, or if you make new friends, then you're more likely to stick to your goals. You've probably heard the principle that you are the amalgam of the 5 people you spend the most time with, right? And yeah, unsurprisingly, that holds true for the habits you set as well. If you start spending more time, like, say, you join a language study group, or you join a casual running team in your area. If you keep going, some people will filter out, but if you keep going week after week, you'll be helping other people keep going week after week, and vice versa. They'll be helping you keep going week after week. So, let's get some other principles out of the way while we're at it. The 2 biggest mistakes. We've already talked about this before. On the left, you got our boy Sisyphus, right? On the right, you got a guy who's holding way too many lives. He cannot hold all these lives, no matter how he tries. So these represent picking a goal that is simply impossible. You can't do it, right? It is too big. You cannot... You can struggle against it. Maybe you can even learn to enjoy the struggle against it. There is absolutely a kind of person who embraces when life sucks. They are happy that life sucks. They want their life to suck more, right? I know those kinds of guys, and power to them. I'm not one of them, you know? I had that period in my life. I am not that kind of guy anymore. I have tried going back to being that guy. I can't do it anymore, you know? When I was younger, yeah, I could have a little Sisyphus moment. Now, no, I'm too old. I'm too old. I could probably get a little bit... I'd probably enjoy a little bit more struggle if I really tried, but no, as it is, I'm more like the guy on the right now. I can't hold all these limes. I have dozens upon dozens of little things in my arms, and you know what? If you start piling on more limes, if you start giving me more little things, I'm gonna start dropping stuff, right? That's my issue, personally. So these are the two big mistakes. Either trying to take on an impossible task, something that is not realistic, right? Or taking on way too many little jobs at once that you can't handle. Because in either case, you know what? This guy on the left, the ultimate myth of the stoic struggler, and this funny fashion model who's inexplicably carrying limes, they're the same guy, deep down. Deep down. So, you actually brought up something pretty good a bit ago, Robert. You said you can probably stream for 5 minutes a week. You knew where I was going with this before I even got here. This is a concept known as the minimum viable effort, or MVE. So it takes about, 2 to 3 months. I think the average is like 66 days, like statistically. But we'll say 2 to 3 months, generally speaking, to lock in a new good habit. So you need to, if you want to go for a run every day, right? You need to jog every day consistently for like 3 months before you get to the point where it's like, okay, I start to feel weird if I don't go for the run, right? Again, that's a statistical average. It's different for everyone. Unless you have ADHD. Yeah, it's a little bit different, for sure. And I can relate to that one. That's a tiny caveat, yeah. So that's a lot of time, right? Like you think, oh, 3 months, that sounds easy. Yes, it sounds easy when you look at the calendar. Although when you're actually living it, it can take a bit longer when it's something you have to force yourself to do day after day, right? That's why so many people run out of steam. Freudian slip there. Run out of steam in the first week of January, if they even start at all. So, MVE, minimum viable effort, however, is a possible solution to this problem. You've probably heard of this before, with the shoelace example, right? Let's say, for example, you have a hard time actually making yourself get up in the morning and going for a run. You start smaller, You start by you wake up, get out of bed, put some running shorts on. And that's it. That's your only goal in the morning. Just put some running shorts on. Or just lacing up your shoes. That's it. The minimum thing is pretty neat, though with the first disruption you'll fall off if there's nothing to steer you back. See, that's the thing. That's another principle we're going to get back into is people start to think, oh, if I've missed this day, it's over. I got to start over from day one, basically, right? And it's not quite like that. Like, yes, you do need to have 2 to 3 months of consistent practice to get into that habit. But at the same time, if you miss one day, it doesn't actually mean that, like, oh, okay, now I'm at day 0 again, right? It's not quite like that. But yeah, it's a big effort to say, oh, I'm gonna wake up at 4 a.m. and I'm gonna run 5 kilometers every single day before having breakfast every single day. On the other hand, you could say, okay, you know what? I'm gonna wake up, put some shorts on. Maybe I'll lace some shoes up if I'm really feeling it. Maybe once you got your shoes on, okay, you know what? Just go for a walk. Just easy peasy, just go for a walk around the block. And then maybe you'll feel like going for a jog down the street, right? That's the minimum viable effort. It's the smallest thing you could possibly do to help reinforce that habit. If you can't get yourself to run every single morning, cool. Maybe just wake up early, right? That's a good first step. You can work towards it. Waking up early and going for an easy walk. Okay, cool, you're moving in the morning. That's already going to be huge steps towards where you actually want to get yourself, right? Another big thing to bring up is the Pareto distribution, right? So, this is also known as the 80-20 rule. So, 80% of consequences come from 20% of causes. Now, this isn't a hard and fast scientific rule, right? This is an economics principle that has been found to work in other fields pretty reasonably. So, don't be surprised if it's not literally this, but that being said, anecdotally, generally speaking, this does work. So what does that mean? It means when you're working on anything, really, whether it's your physical fitness, whether it's a hobby you're trying to build, whether it's a skill, 80% of your results are going to come from 20% of your effort, and the rest is all gravy. Now, it doesn't mean that the 80% that gives you 20% should be skipped or ignored. That's still important. Right. But it does mean that you should focus your efforts on what actually matters. And again, this is pretty much for any field you're trying to get into. So, let's give a practical example, because I'm still speaking pretty vaguely. Let's say that you're trying to pass a university exam. You're trying to pass a big exam coming up. Okay. The best way to pass that test would be to do a practice test. That should be the majority of your effort. If you're doing well in those practice tests, you probably got a pretty good shot at the exam. Now, I'm not saying that you should skip the courses assigned reading, but if your goal is solely to just pass a test, okay, you know what, maybe you should focus on passing that test. And then the remainder of your time, that little extra effort, probably not going to be the biggest for passing the test, but you should probably actually learn what you're trying to learn in the first place. But that's, neither here nor there. Or, for example, if you're trying to... A lot of people, they want to lose weight before summer, right? They want to get in that beach bod. You hear that one a lot. Okay. Going to the gym a lot, that'll help. But maybe cleaning up your diet would be the bigger one, right? That's typically the advice given, at least. By simply taking time to eat a little bit better, drink a bit more water, get a bit more sleep, you'll probably lose that weight without having to worry so much about, hitting every last rep in the gym. Not that you should skip exercise, but if you're simply worried about losing a bit of weight before summer, probably focusing on the diet be a better option for you. Again, I'm not your personal trainer, I'm not your doctor, don't take it from me. But if you're keeping this principle in mind, I'm sure you can come up with some examples yourself, right? There's probably some, not that I would know, but there's probably some skills fundamental to art, let's say, right? And if you're wanting to get as good as you can as quickly as you can, you should probably focus on those fundamentals first, and then get into learning all the little nitty-gritty stuff, right? If you're wanting to become a runner, you should probably focus on actually hitting the track, and worrying about stuff like, oh, supplementary exercises and dietary supplements and all that stuff, that's your 80%, right? That's not gonna be a big deal. That's not that huge. It's not really relevant. You can probably get everywhere you want to go by focusing on actually hitting the track. And then if you need a little push, you can worry about that stuff then, right? Right. So, how can we apply these principles, on the whole, to our goal setting for the new year? Now, of course, we can look at this over macro and micro levels. That is, across our goals on the whole, and on individual levels. It can be easy to get pulled in many directions. I know I'm guilty of this myself. I'll think like, oh, I could make this video, and I can do this, and I can learn this language, and I can practice this, while also trying to work, full-time jobs on the side, gigs on top of that. Also trying to manage family life. Whoa, slow down there, buddy. You've got enough going on, right? We're gonna go back to our, where's Lime Buddy? Where's Lime's Buddy? Yeah, we're gonna go back to Lime's Buddy here. You know what? You can only hold so many limes in life, right? So, let's get right into it here. How can we actually apply this? We're gonna get into a few different methods of setting goals, right? The first one I'm gonna talk about is SMART goal setting. S-M-A-R-T. Lost my place here. Okay. So, we talked about the 80-20 rule, Pareto distribution. We know that we need to focus on what's that 20% we actually want to reach, right? Okay, so we got something vague in mind, right? There's something I want to focus on. Cool. How are you actually going to get to it? Well, you need to make a plan, otherwise you're probably going to do what you do every year, try really hard, just working on it generally for a week, and then giving up. I'm speaking to myself here. I wrote this. This is a lecture to myself. You're all along for the ride, right? Maybe it applies to you. Maybe you're infinitely more disciplined and productive than I am. You know what? Cool. You can just go for a walk. Just leave this stream running so I get ad revenue. Right. So, for SMART goal setting, you need your goals to be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. So, you've probably heard of this before. I'm pretty sure it's taught to high school, university students nowadays. I wish it was taught to me, or, I wish they told me anything like this back in the day, because I relied entirely on my wits to get through college, and I didn't develop the best work habits back in the day, which is, I got by, but good heavens, I wish that I had spent more time thinking about how I worked than just what work I was doing, Maybe I'd be a bit more productive these days. We're gonna work on that, though. It's never too late. We're gonna work on that. So, specific. One thing I put here is losing weight could mean anything. If you just want to lose weight, cut off your leg. Boom, you've lost weight. Your body now weighs less. That's not a very practical idea, though, because now you only have one leg. Dropping 10 pounds of body fat is much more specific, right? Okay, that's understandable. It should be a measurable goal. Saying, I want to make it big on YouTube or Twitch or TikTok. Sure, but what does that actually mean? Without a map and a compass, how do you know where you are? The goal should be something quantifiable, something that you can actually point to and say, yeah, there it is. That's what I'm aiming for. Achievable. Saying, I want to go from sitting on the couch to being an Olympic sprinter in 3 weeks? Not happening. Remember, minimum viable effort. You can always scale your goals up as you progress, right? Eventually get to the point where you don't have a problem waking up in the mornings? Cool. Now your MVE is go for a morning walk. You can go for a walk every day, no sweat, you actually look forward to it? Cool. Maybe try working some jogging into that, right? Little by little, small changes over time. It should be a relevant goal. This is your big picture why. And only you can come up with a reason for this. I can't give you one. Now, it doesn't need to be, a world-shaking, life-shattering moment or a revelation from God. Even just saying, I want to look good on the beach this summer. That's totally fine. That is relevant. That is a reason, right? You need to have a reason. And time-bound. This is the easiest to forget about and probably the most important part. You need to have a time frame for your goal. Makes it possible to measure, and it helps make sure your goals are actually realistic, right? So if we were to come up with a quick little goal here, saying, hey, I've got a vacation plan in July, right? I'm going to go down to Hawaii. I want to look good on the beach. Okay, so maybe I want to lose 20 pounds by July. Banger goal right there. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. It's that easy, right? Already you're infinitely more likely to actually accomplish this goal than just someone going through with just a vague idea. Because the thing is, that feeling, that vague idea, it might be very intense when you set that resolution. Like, you'll be like, this is my year. This is my year. I'm gonna break my record. Right? This is my year. This is the year I hit the 1000 club in powerlifting. Right? This is when I'm gonna do it. You'll feel great about that on December 31st. Then like January 10th, you've been going to the gym for a couple weeks and you're sore and you're tired. And you know what? You'll start making excuses for yourself. So, remember, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Here's another example. Let's say you want to start a meditation practice, right? Great idea. It's got all kinds of proven benefits. But before you go and sell all your things, donate everything you own to charity, and run off into the mountains to live as a monk, again, maybe start a little smaller. Ease into it. Try sitting for not even 5 minutes a day, right? Do it when you wake up, do it on your lunch break, do it before bed, doesn't matter. You don't know how to meditate? Cool. That's fine. There's plenty of free guided meditation videos and apps, or maybe there might be a class you can take at your local community center, right? Let's break it down. So, specific. You want to take up a daily meditation practice. Measurable. Okay, you can start with 5 minutes a day on your lunch break, right? You can work your way up from there. Realistic. Well, attainable. You can use a free guided meditation app to learn how to do it. Cool. You don't even need to know what you're doing before you get in there. Relevant. To improve my mental health. And time-bound. I can see how I feel after a month, right? I can write down how I feel, and do I feel better after practicing meditation every day for a month, right? Does it improve how I'm doing at work? Or my mental health, or any number of reasons. Maybe you feel no different? Cool. Maybe you feel better. I don't know, right? Already though, you can see this is much more reasonable, much more practical, much more likely to succeed than saying, okay, starting today, I'm gonna wake up at 4 a.m. and go for a 5-mile run. Then I'm gonna go back to my room and I'm gonna sit there for an hour straight in perfect silent meditation, right? Great idea. Love the spirit. You are not you're not a marathon monk, right? That's not yet. Maybe in the future, you could get there. I'm not saying you can't get there. If that's what you want to be, I am in full support of that. But you're not there. Not yet. And you're gonna need some time to get there first. Okay, we're gonna take a short break, and then we'll be right back into it. So I'll see y'all in a moment, and we'll continue on with this. Just a bit. Okay, now we'll see if... oh, wrong one. There we go. Okay, too many scenes. We'll see if Twitch is saying the ad break should be over now. We'll see if that's true. It's lied to me before. It'll lie to me again. Where were we? Right. So far we've discussed the issues with goal setting, right? Or New Year's resolution specifically. You either think too big. Let's go back here, actually. You either go too big. You're Sisyphus pushing up the boulder. That's great. You are probably not a mythical being who can actually handle that, right? You can imagine Sisyphus happy, but you yourself are probably not happy as Sisyphus, right? You can imagine him happy, you're probably not happy. Or you're gonna be the lime guy. You're carrying way too much in your arms. You cannot hold all these limes. You cannot take on all these new things at once, right? Unfortunately, you are not a blank slate. Right? You have lived a life up to this point, presumably. Unless you are the new Adam and Eve, made from clay, life breathed into you. Sorry to say it, you were probably born like the rest of us, lived a life, and have picked up all kinds of habits, hobbies, good and bad, along the way, right? So, thinking you can just change that out of whole cloth, not realistic, not practical, not gonna happen. Take a manageable number of limes at once, please. Where were we? Cool. Another method you could use, right? Maybe you have a goal that seems way too big, way too long-term. You're thinking, well, that's all well and good, Mark. I can set smart goals. But what if I want to do something really big? I want to get a degree. I want to learn a language, right? This will take years and years of my life. Okay, that's fine. We just have to change our scope a little. The same principles. Keep it simple, minimum viable effort, 80-20 rule. Those are all the same thing at the end of the day. All of these still apply here, right? We're just going to change the framework. Still the same thing. This is all these ways of organizing your life, all these ways of setting goals, different ways of looking at the same problem. It's all the same thing at the end of the day. Which means that you really can't ignore those fundamental principles because no matter what method you use, you're still going to have to deal with them one way or another. So, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 goal setting method. 5 years, 4 months, 3 weeks, 2 days, 1 hour. That's how they prescribe you would break down these major goals. Now, obviously, these time periods aren't set in stone, but you get the idea. Let's say... So, personally, let's get in there actually. Where is it here? Yeah, here it is. There's another personal example. I took Japanese back in high school, as long ago as that was. And I told myself, oh, I'll keep up studying for fun. And I did! For a while. Then life got in the way, as it always does. University, a military career, a life after, starting an investigation business, all of that makes it very easy for the non-essential to slip. I had way too many limes going on, right? And then they get forgotten, they left behind. Your limes rot on the kitchen floor. You forgot all about them. It's always bugged me that I fell off. So, this year, how about I get back on it? As a random example, right? Just shooting, I'm picking a target to shoot my arrow at. I'll use the N1 level of the Japanese language proficiency test as my big goal. The JLPT has 5 levels, N5 at the lowest, simplest, and easiest. N1 is the highest, most difficult. And language nerds, I know, you're dying to comment. The JLPT can't measure linguistic fluency, but just your rote memorization skills. I hear you. But we need to pick a goal. And this is most certainly a goal. So, let's flesh out these goals. We'll say, for example, it's cut off for dang it. The PowerPoint is cut off for a bit. I tried adjusting it OBS. It's not cooperating. So we'll deal with it. It is what it is. We'll say, for example, that we know absolutely no Japanese whatsoever. We don't know what a kanji even is. We don't know sushi from tsunami. We think sake is the name of the sword that samurai used. Frankly, we're a mess. Well, we've got a big goal set. We're gonna pass the highest level exam. Great. We'll go a step further here. The next milestone is 4 months. Well, with the JLPT, you don't have to take the preceding levels to take the N1. They're not going to stop you from just jumping on in. Last I checked. Maybe that's changed, but last I checked that was still the case. But we could use those levels as our checkpoints, right? So, in 4 months, assuming we know absolutely no Japanese going in whatsoever, 4 months we'll take an N5 practice test. Or, if it's available to you, and you've really been doing well with practice, maybe you'll even want to take the real test, right? Maybe you'll really go for the N5. Cool. Either way, that's a great milestone for our 4 months. For the next 3 weeks, we'll prioritize grinding stuff out. Hiragana and katakana. Practicing reading, writing, and pronouncing them. And maybe moving into some basic vocabulary, right? Just over 3 weeks. 2 days, well, we can take a notebook and start practicing our writing. Go one line at a time. A, I, U, E, O. Get the vowels. Ka, ki, ku, ke, ko. Go on, go on, go on. Through the whole list, right? What can you do within the next hour to start learning Japanese? Well, you could download a free hiragana and katakana chart and print it off. Maybe consider using a language learning app. Or look up local Japanese study groups in your area. I found one myself that meets on Sundays. So, we're going back there. 5 years, taking past the N1 exam. We'd start within the next 4 months by taking the N5 practice test. 3 weeks, master hiragana katakana. 2 days, master the first lines of hiragana. 1 hour, download a kana chart, right? And then, at regular intervals, say every 3 weeks, say every 4 months, right? You would set new goals. You would readjust this to fit your current actual progress, right? Because that's the thing. This is meant to be, again, following our principles from before, these should be measurable, attainable, realistic, right? And of course, relevant. So maybe your goals have shifted, maybe your priorities have had to shift a bit, right? Maybe a family member has gotten sick for a long term and you can't spend as much time on this as you like. Okay, cool, dial it back. You don't have to give up on it, but maybe you should dial it back a bit, right? Or maybe you're doing so well in your studies. Maybe this is just, it flows right into your brain, right? You're learning so quickly, so quickly. You're way ahead of schedule. Cool. Maybe after the first 3 weeks, you can be a bit more aggressive with your next goal. Or the 4 months, right? The whole point is, as you're asking there, Robert, once you know Japanese well enough, what then? Well, when you hit these benchmarks, again, these aren't like hard rules. It doesn't have to be 5 years. It doesn't have to be 4 months, 3 weeks, 2 days, 1 hour. You could scale this up and down according to whatever you think is most appropriate. The point is, you should have things you can do right now, things you can do in the short term, the medium term, the long term, and the extra long term, right? And you should, at regular intervals, come back and look at this again. Like, okay, what should I do next? What should I be doing next? What's the next benchmark? These should always be attainable, how challenging they are will depend on what you think you can actually do, right? So. So, let's see here. Maybe I master hiragana and katakana in 2 weeks, right? I'm a little ahead of schedule. And by master, I mean like, okay, I can write all the hiragana and katakana without any issues. I can read sentences in hiragana, katakana, even if I don't know the vocabulary, I can read it out without getting any characters wrong, right? I can at least sound it out phonetically. I can write them properly. I don't get the similar looking ones mixed up. You know, I'm there, right? I'm there. I am literally the Japanese kindergartner, right? Cool. Okay. Maybe start focusing on vocabulary or basic grammar, right? Again, it all depends on where you're at. And you would set these smaller goals accordingly to try and get you to that next. Whatever your smallest goal should be keyed to get you closer to the next step up, right? You want to master hiragana? Cool. Right away, what you can do is download a hiragana katakana chart for free online. Just download one. Google Images. Takes 2 seconds, right? In order to master the whole chart, you gotta master those first few lines. In order to pass the practice test, okay, yeah, you need to know your hiragana katakana, but not listed on this particular image I set up. But in general, you need to move on to grammar, vocabulary, etc., etc. And then you can take that practice test, and that's going to be a big benchmark, right? Because, okay, depending on how well I do on this practice test, did I totally crush it, or did it crush me? Cool. That's going to be a great way for you to figure out, like, was my pace realistic, right? Am I expecting too much myself? Am I underestimating myself? You can't really know that until you get into it. It might feel hard, and you're actually doing pretty well, right? So, this shouldn't be like, you're not trying to plan the next 5 years of your life. You're not trying to see into the future and be like, okay, on March 22nd, I am going to study this kanji for 3 hours, and then the next day I'm going to take this test. That's not exactly what it is. It's more a method, a framework for you to look at your long-term goals and be like, am I making progress towards them? So I think I spent enough time there. And as I said, you can measure this against the other principles, because at the end of the day, these are just different methods to reach the same goals. The 5-4-3-2-1 method is SMART. Specific, pass the N1 exam. Very specific. That is what it is. Pass the exam in 5 years. Cool. Measurable. You can use practice tests, actual exams, the lower levels, to see how you're doing. Achievable. With dedicated practice over several years, absolutely. And honestly, if I fail, that's fine. I personally don't need it for work, and I'd probably pass N2 and learn a ton along the way anyways. Relevant. Again, for me, passing the N1 would be relevant because it'd be useful for my interests and hobbies. I can take satisfaction on achieving something I gave up on long ago. Time gated? Heck yeah. I said it's a 5-year deadline. So, what should you be using? 5-4-3-2-1? Sure. You can use it for any big goal you can think of. Or you can change the time frames to make it scale better down to smaller goals as well. Smart? Sure. Smart's really easy to apply to anything, big or small, at work, at home. Just remember to keep it simple, stupid. Should you use a different method? Well, as they say, the best workout is the one you're actually going to do. You don't have to follow these methods, these are the two that I was personally aware of, right? If you have some other method of getting things done, or if you don't have a problem with productivity, well, I have nothing to say to you. Good for you, like, fantastic, keep it up, right? You're where you want to be. So final takeaways. Keep it simple. The calendar isn't magic, nor is it cursed. You can start at any time, including right now. We're only human. Exceedingly easy to talk, walk the walks a lot harder. And I think I forgot to finish this one because that's the exact same fourth note as before. I meant to update that one. It is what it is. Oh well. Anyways, that was my super awesome, super lovely PowerPoint presentation. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed making it. Let's see. So I do have another goal, actually. Which, I know. I just said, don't put too much on your plate at once, but roll with me here. So learning Japanese, I'd actually consider that one of my minor goals, right? Let me just move stuff around here on my own side. Cool. So, I'm just going to do this on the fly here. My minor goals. Well, I'd like to improve my Japanese reading comprehension. Writing and speaking are less important to me, just because, well, I don't intend on doing much of that. It's more I'd like to be able to be better at reading things that aren't translated. Nor do I want to have to rely on machine translation, which is admittedly much better nowadays, but I would rather be able to do it on my own, right? So, that'd be a minor goal, but a major goal, let's say. Let's say that I want to make, so I do have a YouTube channel. I have a couple, actually. They've been sitting there unused for a couple years now, I think, actually. Well, I had an original YouTube channel that I've lost access to. I've been locked out of it entirely, right? So, if you look up Marcus Savas on YouTube, you'll find that there's one channel that hasn't uploaded in years. I can't get into that account anymore, and I can't delete it either. It's just sitting there. I'll always have two accounts, I guess. Oh boy. Off to a great start, right? And I have a more recent VOD channel. I had the intention, again, I'm a guy with many lines, right? Actually, I'm just gonna throw him up on here. Where is he? Where's Lime's boy? There's Lime's boy. This is me. We'll keep him here. So, major goal. I have a YouTube channel, right? And I want to actually put that into practice. So, major goal would be, let's see, I want to make so I want to put content on the YouTube channel, right? But that's not really a good goal yet, because it's not specific, it's not measurable, right? It's relevant. It might be attainable. Is it time gated? Not really, as it is. So, let's try and make this a bit of a better goal. I'm just gonna workshop this live here. So, I'd like to put out a video, right? By end of year. Let's see here. I don't like using numbers for goals because you can't really control that. It's not something you can do yourself. But we'll come up with some possible goals. Off the top of my head, numbers comes to mind. 1,000 subs, right? That's probably very attainable. I haven't made much success as a YouTube creator because I don't have any videos other than a VOD archive, right? Just a stream archive on YouTube. 1,000 subs or 10,000 views on a video. already. That'd be pretty good, pretty good. That's specific. And I think that's probably attainable if the algorithm picks you up, right? I could consider... Let's just specify these as being options here. Alright, let's adjust these as we go. So if I want to get better at making YouTube channel content, I could make the channel size as a goal, getting 1,000 subs or 10,000 views on a single video. Or I could put a content flow, putting out 1 video per month. Either one of these could work, honestly. Now, it'd be hard for me to... I don't actually know how else I could measure a YouTube channel's growth, right? Or what other goals I could set for it, other than putting out a volume of content consistently, or having content become some measure of success. There's not many other ways I can think of personally, off the top of my head. If you got anything else, please let me know. No other way comes to mind that I could actually measure the progress of a YouTube channel. So, because of my personal schedule, as I said, time is not always on my side. I can, on short notice, well, I had to leave for about a month and a half last year, around June, July. And I had 32 hours notice, right? Not even a full 2 days. Hey Mark, we need you here, and we need you there now. It was an emergency call, right? And that lasted an entire month and a half away from home. Which is fine, I got paid for it. You know, that's kind of the job. But it also means that, I don't know that I can exactly commit to, having consistent output of work. At least, not yet. Now, hypothetically in the future, that might be possible for me if, and I mean if, I get skilled enough at producing content that I can not only produce 1 video a month, but also work on projects on the side quickly enough that I can have a backlog of content ready to upload, right? I can't guarantee that time will be on my side here. So we'll say, we'll go with this 1,000 subs or 10,000 views on a video, right? We'll say that. Okay, that's a specific goal. Is it measurable? Yep. I can see how videos that I put out do, right? I'll have access to that data. Now, will I be able to read that data properly? Good heavens, no. But there are entire industries around trying to understand YouTube's system, right? So I'm not too worried about that. No one really knows how it works. It is a mystery. I don't think YouTube knows how it works. I think that they just put a demon in a box and that's what serves you up your videos. And you can't really prove me wrong, unless you're YouTube, in which case, now tell me how it works, Mr. YouTube. Is it attainable? Probably not the first video, but eventually, yeah. Is it relevant? Yes. Is it relevant? Yeah. I've been wanting to shift content styles for a while now, since again, my schedule isn't always conducive to live streaming. I've been talking about making videos for a couple years now, and I had like 3 half-finished videos, and then my hard drive died, so all I have are the backups I made of some of the scripts. I'm basically starting from scratch again. Which is fine, again, they weren't finished videos anyways, I didn't actually lose. All I lost was the rough drafts, right? I lost the practice, as it were. I can still make them happen. But I did let that dead hard drive stop me from working for a while. I used that as an excuse and thus didn't get much done. And that's on me. So, I want to rectify that. I've been sitting there looking at a blank YouTube channel for years now. I should do something with that, right? I keep talking about doing things. People have even offered to help me with making videos, right? They've offered to give me advice or do certain things for me. Yeah. SMART goals is for supporting goal setting, but kind of leaves out goal selection motivations. That's true. That's true. Like I said, there's no perfect system, right? All of these are ultimately subjective, and they're really doing the same thing. You could find a method that works better for your needs, and if it works better for you, 10 out of 10, 5 stars, right? I'm just doing what works. I might need to nail down acceptable audio first. Yeah, I know, I'm doing that thing where I keep going away here. That's on me again. I got bad habit, bad habit. So I actually do have the solution here. Is, without the echo, the mic should be... Yes, I actually have a very nice microphone. That's not the issue. The issue is how I have it set up in my room. It is currently sitting in a corner, basically, which is awful, awful for the echo. And again, that's all on me. That's, I kind of knew that would be the case. But I'll have that worked out soon enough. And time gated, right? Oh, where? Lost it. I lost it. Where'd it go? Here it is. You don't know. We'll actually go there. Time bound within 1 year. So this is a quick little how to do. Just setting all this up, right? Specific, I'd like to get 1,000 subs or 10,000 views on a video. Is it measurable? Yeah. Attainable? Probably eventually. I might not get it this first year, but I think it's possible to do. Is it relevant? Yeah, I've been meaning to do this for years now. I have admittedly been letting myself rest where I am. That's not a problem, but I keep thinking about how I want to do better, how I want to do more, and then I don't actually put the work in. My audio quality is pretty much an example of that. I went with expedient rather than proper. Again, I know how to fix this, and it'll be fixed for long. But it's sort of emblematic of a personal feeling, as it were. And absolutely, I can break this down to the further sub-goals. Because, again, simply having a video get 10,000 views out of nowhere is in itself still rather vague, right? How would I make that video? Etc., etc. Views and subs are probably exponential at times. Yeah, as they say, the distribution of success in most business ventures is, ironically, again, that 80-20 principle. Or the Matthew principle, you might have heard it called. Referring to the chapter, the verse from Matthew, those who have everything will receive more, paraphrased, right? And those who have nothing will lose everything. Essentially, the rich get richer, the poor get poorer. That applies to content just as well, right? Once you start picking up, you'll continue picking up, generally speaking. Though not necessarily. So I consider that as a solid goal for me. And I do have a minor goal as well. These are both relevant to me specifically. I want to start making YouTube channel content. That is, it's been on my mind for years now. People who have talked to me will know about that. I keep talking about it. I keep starting doing it. And I keep not following through. Kinda part of the course for me. Never follow through. And I'd like to get better at my Japanese literacy. If I can improve my writing capability and my speaking fluency, that'd be great as well. But I'm not too concerned about that. People watch what they are interested in. That's true. That's true. And again, like I said, I'm not looking exactly for numbers. I don't like using that as a goal. Because again, that doesn't actually mean anything at the end of the day. I have seen YouTube... in my favorites list, right? I have seen videos, like masterfully put together videos, that have sub 1,000 views. And I had far more entertainment from watching them than I did from seeing some 10 million view TikTok clip compilation, right? I don't know. It's just hard to find a good metric, right? So, as I said, goals can shift too, right? Now, you should be careful about shifting your goals, because you'll be tempted right away, as soon as things start getting hard, to shift your goals. Which is why you should, again, decide ahead of time when exactly you'll re-examine your goals. Because again, maybe you find that you've overestimated or even underestimated yourself, right? Maybe you learn faster than you thought. Maybe you have a bit harder time going for those runs in the morning. That's fine. But don't do that the moment you start encountering difficulty, or the moment it feels too easy. Stick to it for a while. You're playing the long game, you're not playing the short game here. It doesn't matter if I think they're masterful. The question is if the scrubbers of the channel think that, and if they don't, YouTube won't test it with other views. That's true, you know what? Just because I don't like the content doesn't mean that it's any good, or vice versa. Just because I like the content doesn't mean it's any good. So, what am I going to do for my Japanese literacy? Cool. So we can break that one down just as well. Okay. So I have a fair this is how subscribers who aren't interested can hurt a channel. That's, you know, I've also heard that if subscribers don't click on a video, it's not very good for the channel's numbers, right? Because then the mystical demonic algorithm decides that, oh, the people who should like this don't like it, therefore it's bad. I guess. Not that I understand it. I won't pretend to understand it. And frankly, considering I'm not going to make a career out of it, I'm not too interested in understanding it. But it is something I'll have to contend with, I'm afraid. So, let's say we want to learn your English first, Mark. Oh my goodness. Scrolling over something is essentially a downvote. Yep. That's true. That's very true. Right. Focus, Mark. improve your Japanese reading skills. Well, okay. The simplest way to do that would be read. But again, so it's well established, the single best way to learn a language on all levels is immersion. But I'm Canadian, not Japanese, and I don't plan on moving anytime soon. So, aside from the occasional work trip out there, which I have done a couple times, immersion isn't exactly practical for me. And I can't exactly count on that to reach my goals. So, I'd have to go out of my way, right, to bring forth that sense of immersion. Italki for Japanese Zoom teachers. Yeah. I think I did sign up for that back in the day. I think my phone wasn't compatible with their software. Something like that. It was a bit of a shady website, so I didn't sign up for that one in particular. Now, I'm not saying that iTalki or whatever is shady. I mean, the one that I did sign up for back in the day seemed kind of shady, but I was desperate to make extra money on a side gig back then. And I was looking for anything I could do. So, I'm probably talking about a different one. But that's beside the point. But yeah, there could be... Yeah. Apps that facilitate live chatting, or teaching, tutoring, whatever the case, right? Because it will all pay back into itself. That is an option. So, off the top of my head, look up books, manga, or material you actually want to read, ideally appropriate to your level. Rereading, hang on a second, just putting... Just a second, it's not, I keep seeing stars in your messages, Robert, and I don't know why. It shouldn't be a filter or anything. That's so strange. Oh, well, no matter. But yes, off the top of my head, I filtered hyperlinks. Ah, okay. That would make sense. That would be it. Yes, there are absolutely a ton of guides out there as well. I do know for a fact that I've saved a few in preparation for this very stream. Rather, not for this stream, but in preparation because this is a genuine goal of mine, to get better at learning Japanese. I do have a few goals, like a few guides like that saved. Because again, if we're going to our other principles, there are things you can do in the span of less than 1 hour, right? Yeah, you're probably not going to be mastering Japanese in 1 hour, but you can probably put together some handy reference links over the next couple weeks. Okay, maybe you can start, I'll check that video out after. Over the next couple days, you can start reading through those guides, making sure that you understand what they're telling you to do, understanding the process. Next few weeks, okay, put in the work, right? Etc., etc. Studying kanji is going to be another big thing. Again, not that I'm an expert. So, without actually looking up any videos live on stream or anything, without pulling up any of these guides, this is just off the top of my head. Okay, I can look up books, manga material that I actually want to read, all appropriate to my level. Follow study guides, yeah. Cross-training. Yeah, you know what? Writing and speaking will probably help with literacy overall. And, see, I'll save these links for later. I myself, as a rule, do not open links on stream. Not that I don't trust you, just as a rule I don't. Because I don't want to get hit with a copyright strike. Not again. Also mentioned the kanji kintai earlier, but that is more focused on kanji vocabulary. Yeah. So all of this that I'm mentioning here is stuff that I personally already do or have done in the past, right? I'd say that right now, I wrote my PowerPoint assuming that you have no knowledge of Japanese whatsoever, right? I'd say that I was probably somewhere, like, when I was actively studying, somewhere between N5 and N4 level based on the practice tests I used to do. I've forgotten a lot since then, because again, that was back when I was in high school, which was not recent. I've forgotten more than I care to admit. Every now and then I'll look at something and be like, oh yeah, I can kind of read that. I used to know what that said. You know, we can get back there, I think. It's not gonna be too bad. And again, not that N4 is some grand peak to scale up towards, but it's where I was, right? I probably would fail the N5 if I took it right now at this moment, but I think that, yeah, you know what? Within 5 years, long-term goal, I probably could get up to N1 if I were to seriously stick with it. Actually practice it little by little, day by day, over the course of 5 years. I think so. I could have done the N5 back then. Yeah, based off the practice tests I did, I would have passed it. It just I didn't get myself down to a testing center because, you know, life got in the way. But it is what it is. The point is, I shouldn't be focusing on what I did not do, but what I can do now. But that's what I'm going to be looking at for these next few years. Next few years here, yeah. So for 2025 and going forward, I'd like to see myself do 1 or 2 streams a week. Let's not go any more than that, right? I might be tempted to say, okay, I want to do this, that, and this and that. No, I think 1, 2 streams a week. When I'm around, of course. When I'm around, that's doable. That's sustainable. That's not going to get in the way of my responsibilities. That's not going to get in the way of my daily life. I can do that. It also gives me time to work on my other goals, namely the video project, right? Projects, I should say. I will have plenty of time to get that done as well this way. So again, these aren't like... I'm not going to go too much detail on these. But this is what I'm looking at this next year. We'll put out 1 to 2 streams per week. Consistently work on videos for YouTube. On my last schedule here, I think I'll pull it up here. I'll pull it up here really quickly. There it is. So I made this with that in mind. Now this week I don't have a lot going on, so I can do quite a few more streams. But a lot of these streams that I'm doing, not too intensive, not too prep heavy. So we got our 2024 in review, our healthy goal setting process, and planning for 2025. Tomorrow we're gonna play some Mahjong. And that's gonna be a for fun stream for me. That's the sort of thing I could cut if I had to. But I got some time this week, so there we go. And the important thing here is I'm making sure to leave myself time to get my all my responsibilities taken care of, right? As well as blocking out time specifically for YouTube videos. As the old saying goes, you should schedule your priorities. Don't prioritize your schedule. You gotta leave yourself a fair amount of flexibility, right? So, if I'm always streaming at 5 p.m. Pacific time, then I have every day that I'm off work, I have all day to take care of things, or spend time with family, and do all the things that I want to do, day after day. I'll still have time to go in to the office, do what I have to do, and when I'm away, I'm away. That's just how it's going to be, right? It can't be helped. But I think this is going to be a lot more sustainable, a lot more practical, and more importantly, it'll be some good improvement for me, I think, because if you were to ask me what I have a lot of weaknesses as a streamer, right? I don't put enough effort into my streams. I think so. I could put more into it. That's the thing. I could do a lot more, but I have not. That is simply a fact. This is a reasonable step towards putting more effort into things, right? Because if I run into it, saying, okay, this is the year that I go crazy, this is the year that I go super hard, this is the year that I become, you know, top Fate Extra streamer on Twitch, for real this time. Maybe it's doable, but something else is gonna have to give, right, in the process. You can force a change, but it might not be the change you want. So, let's take it a bit slower, let's take it a bit steadier. And let's go for a little improvement, year by year. But I think that'll do for today. That's, like I said, sometimes it's okay to just have a short stream as well. As long as we're actually hitting that start button, as long as we're actually putting things out there, and getting back into where we want to be. So, let's see here. I think we'll say hello to... see, who's up that I'm following? We'll say hello to... good old Andy. We'll say hello to Andy. Alright. Let's start that raid. So, I will see you all tomorrow, actually, for Mahjong Mondays, which is a little for fun stream for me. Until next time, farewell.